The twin suns of GalacticPrime hung low over the emerald plains, painting the sky in shades of gold and violet. The air was thick with the scent of flowering luminescent plants, and the distant mountains shimmered like glass in the soft evening light. This planet, ruled by the young and curious Princess Virelia, was known across the galaxy for its beauty and its strict adherence to tradition. Zalarians, with their slender, graceful forms and translucent skin, were proud of their heritage. They valued knowledge, discipline, and, above all, respect for the natural order of life. Princess Virelia herself was the jewel of GalacticPrime. At just 21 cycles old, she had already demonstrated a sharp mind, fierce curiosity, and a determination to lead wisely. Her hair, a cascade of silver blue, shimmered like starlight, and her violet eyes held an intensity that could unsettle even the most confident diplomat. Despite her youth, she carried herself with regal authority, and no one dared to challenge her decisions, except perhaps the peculiar human who had just arrived on her planet. The human, Commander Elias Drake, stepped off the sleek spacecraft that had carried him across light years of space. His appearance was unassuming: short-cropped brown hair, a lean but muscular build, and eyes that seemed to analyze everything at once. Humans were rare visitors to GalacticPrime, and his presence caused an immediate stir among the palace staff and the local scholars. Rumors had reached the princess that humans were clever, resourceful, and unlike any other species she had encountered. But how true those claims were, only time would tell. As he entered the grand hall of the royal palace, Elias felt the weight of thousands of alien eyes upon him. The architecture was breathtaking: soaring arches carved from crystal-like stone, floors that reflected the soft light as if they were mirrors, and walls etched with glowing symbols depicting Zalarian history. Virelia awaited him at the far end of the hall, sitting on a throne that seemed to grow out of the very floor, its surface flowing like liquid silver. "Commander Drake," she began, her voice calm but commanding, "welcome to GalacticPrime. We are honored to host a representative of your species." Her gaze studied him closely, as if trying to read not just his face but his mind. Elias bowed slightly. "Princess Virelia, the honor is mine. Humans have long admired the knowledge and culture of the Zalarians. I hope my visit will build understanding between our species." Virelia inclined her head gracefully. "We shall see. Your species is different from others we have encountered. Tell me, Commander, do humans follow the same life cycles as we do? Do you bear young only at specific times, in harmony with nature?" Elias paused, sensing the weight behind her question. "No, Princess," he said carefully. "Humans can reproduce at any time. There are no specific seasons or cycles for us." For a moment, silence filled the hall. The princess's violet eyes widened, and her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. She was shocked. "At any time? You mean there is no natural limitation? No sacred cycle dictates when humans may bring new life into the world?" Elias nodded. "That is correct. We adapt to our environment, and our reproduction is guided by choice, not by fixed seasons." Virelia leaned forward, her curiosity now fully awakened. She had studied countless species, and many had intricate, regulated life cycles that reflected the balance of their ecosystems. Humans, by contrast, seemed entirely free from such constraints. "This is extraordinary," she whispered. "Your kind is unlike anything I have known. How do you prove this? How can I be certain that what you claim is true?" Elias smiled politely, sensing the challenge in her voice. "I understand your caution, Princess. I can explain in full detail the biology and culture of humans. But proof, real proof, cannot be presented in a single moment. It comes from understanding our ways, observing our adaptability, and seeing how humans navigate life. Virelia's mind raced. Proof. She was never satisfied with hearsay. She had been raised to demand evidence, to question, to verify. This human might be clever, but could he survive the scrutiny of her advisors, the scholars who would challenge every statement he made? "Very well, Commander," she said finally. "I shall arrange a demonstration. Not just of your claims about reproduction, but of the broader qualities of your species. You must show us your intelligence, your adaptability, and your courage. Only then will I believe that humans are as remarkable as you claim." Elias inclined his head. "I am ready, Princess. I will do my best to earn your trust." The announcement spread quickly through the palace. Scholars whispered among themselves, advisors debated what tests would be appropriate, and Virelia's attendants scurried to prepare. The princess herself could not hide her excitement. Here was an opportunity to learn not just about human biology, but about human potential in every sense. Days passed as preparations were made. The first test involved the human ambassador navigating the palace grounds under the watchful eyes of Zalarian scholars. The gardens of Zalara Prime were no ordinary gardens. They contained plants with defensive mechanisms, unpredictable growth patterns, and even subtle psychic emissions that could unsettle unprepared visitors. Elias walked carefully but confidently, observing, adjusting, and responding to each challenge. He moved with grace and intelligence, earning nods of approval from even the most skeptical observers. Meanwhile, Princess Virelia studied him closely. She noted how he approached problems, how he interacted with the palace staff, and how he remained calm under pressure. There was something fundamentally different about humans, she realized. They were adaptable, resilient, and clever in ways her people had not fully understood. The next test was more intellectual. A group of Zalarian scholars presented Elias with an ancient puzzle that had baffled their species for generations. The puzzle involved aligning energy flows within a crystal lattice to unlock a hidden chamber. Many Zalarians had tried and failed, but Elias approached it methodically. He examined the structure, tested patterns, and observed feedback. After several hours, he found the correct sequence, and the hidden chamber opened with a soft chime. Gasps of astonishment filled the hall. Virelia's eyes sparkled with admiration. "Humans truly are unlike any other species," she murmured. "Their minds are sharp, and their determination is impressive." Elias's success did not end there. The final test involved diplomacy. Two alien delegations, rivals for centuries, had arrived at the palace for negotiations. Their hostility was palpable, and their words dripped with mistrust. The task for Elias was simple in concept: facilitate a peaceful agreement. Simple, but nearly impossible in practice. Yet using observation, logic, and empathy, he navigated the discussions, mediating misunderstandings and proposing compromises that satisfied both parties. By the end of the session, the delegations had agreed to a temporary alliance, a feat that had eluded the most experienced Zalarian diplomats. Virelia was stunned. Her initial skepticism had transformed into admiration. This human was not just adaptable, he was courageous, intelligent, and capable of understanding beings very different from himself. Yet, she could not ignore her original question: the issue of human reproduction. How it differed so drastically from Zalarian biology still intrigued her. Finally, in a quiet moment away from the eyes of the court, Virelia approached Elias. "Commander Drake," she said softly, "you have impressed me with your intelligence and skill, but there is still one matter I must understand fully. Your species can reproduce at any time, you say. This is not merely biology, it is freedom. How do humans manage such power responsibly?" Elias smiled gently. "Princess, humans rely on knowledge, ethics, and empathy. freedom is always balanced with responsibility. We plan, we communicate, we care for each other. Our ability to reproduce at any time is just one example of how adaptable we are, but it is guided by the choices we make. Viralia considered this carefully. She had always believed that biological limitations were essential to maintaining order and balance. Yet here was a species that had learned to thrive without such limits. Their strength was not just in their biology, but in their wisdom, their adaptability, and their moral sense. A faint smile touched her lips. "Humans," she whispered, almost to herself, "you are more remarkable than I ever imagined." Elias noticed the smile and inclined his head respectfully. "Thank you, Princess. I hope in time you will see more of what humanity has to offer. There is much we can learn from each other." Virelia's eyes glimmered with excitement and curiosity. The first part of their journey together had only begun. She could feel that the arrival of this human ambassador would change her understanding of the universe, and perhaps her own perspective on what it meant to lead with wisdom and courage. As the twin suns set over Zalara Prime, casting the palace in a soft violet glow, Princess Viralia stood at her balcony, looking out over the plains. She thought of the human who had arrived so unexpectedly, whose calm confidence and clever mind had already reshaped her assumptions. She knew that the coming days would hold even more surprises, tests, discoveries, and perhaps truths about humanity that would challenge everything she had ever known. One thing was certain: humans were unlike any other species she had met, and she could not wait to see what else they were capable of. The following morning, the palace of Zalara Prime was alive with activity. Servants, scholars, and palace guards moved swiftly through the crystal corridors, their movements precise and disciplined. Princess Viralia sat in her study, a large chamber filled with glowing charts and holographic projections of alien systems, pondering the human ambassador, Commander Elias Drake. His success yesterday had left her both impressed and curious. She could see that humans were clever, resourceful, and adaptable. But could they truly be as extraordinary as he claimed? Virelia's violet eyes were fixed on a small, shimmering device projecting a 3D map of Earth. She had requested it from her scientists, who had spent long cycles gathering data about human culture, biology, and history. Yet the more she studied, the more questions arose. Humans could reproduce at any time? They had no natural cycle dictating when new life could be created? It was difficult for her to comprehend a species so free, yet so responsible. Her thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of Elias himself. He entered the study with his usual calm confidence, his posture relaxed but alert. "Princess Viralia," he greeted. "You requested my presence?" "Yes, Commander," she replied, rising gracefully from her seat. "I have been thinking about what you told us yesterday. Humans can reproduce any time, and yet you survive, thrive, and maintain balance in your society. I must understand this more fully. You claim freedom, but there must be limits, rules, or wisdom guiding your choices. Show me." Elias inclined his head respectfully. "I understand, Princess. The freedom you speak of is paired with responsibility, knowledge, and empathy. We plan carefully, consider the consequences, and learn from experience. That is how humans thrive." Viralia circled him slowly, her expression thoughtful. "It is not enough to tell me, Commander. I must see it, feel it, understand it. Your people must be extraordinary. Perhaps through examples, through demonstration, I will comprehend fully. We begin with your culture. Show me human life in action." Elias smiled faintly. "Then I will do my best to illustrate." The first demonstration began in the palace's simulation hall, a massive chamber filled with glowing panels, holographic projections, and sensory devices designed to replicate environments from across the galaxy. Virelia had requested a human perspective on multiple aspects of life, and Elias intended to show her how humans thought, lived, and adapted. The simulation began with a simple scene: a human village. Holographic images showed people tending crops, building structures, caring for young, and interacting peacefully. Virelia watched intently as Elias explained each detail. "Humans work together to survive," he said. "Our communities are built on cooperation. We share knowledge, teach our young, and ensure the well-being of everyone. Reproduction is not simply biological. It is tied to planning, care, and the bonds between individuals." The princess raised a slender hand, her eyes narrowing. "So, humans do not act blindly. You reproduce, but only with purpose?" "Exactly," Elias replied. "It is not instinct alone that guides us. Love, responsibility, and foresight guide our choices. We understand that life is precious." Virelia nodded slowly. The holographic scene shifted. Now the simulation showed a bustling city, humans working, traveling, creating art, and inventing technology. It illustrated how humans adapted to almost any environment, from deserts to frozen lands, from crowded cities to open plains. "Humans are survivors," Elias explained. "Our ability to reproduce any time is one aspect of adaptability, but it is our intelligence, empathy, and cooperation that make survival possible. Without these qualities, freedom would lead to chaos." Virelia leaned closer, fascinated. "And what of your emotions, Commander? How do humans manage such strong feelings while maintaining order?" Elias smiled. "We learn from each other. Families, friends, mentors, these relationships teach us how to care, how to make choices, and how to balance desire with responsibility. Emotions guide us, but they are tempered by reason and empathy." Virelia's eyes reflected a mix of wonder and disbelief. "So humans are not merely driven by instinct. You think, you feel, and you choose. This is remarkable." After the simulation, Virelia decided to test Elias further. She arranged a series of practical exercises to see how humans could adapt in unfamiliar situations. The first challenge was deceptively simple: retrieve a rare plant from the sky gardens, located on a floating plateau high above the palace. The gardens were filled with alien flora that reacted unpredictably to touch, sound, and even thought. Many Zalarians had failed to navigate the gardens without harming the plants or themselves. Elias approached the challenge calmly. Observing the environment first, he noted the plant's reactions to movement and sound. Slowly, deliberately, he moved through the garden, careful not to disturb the delicate ecosystem. When one plant tried to entangle his hand, he adjusted his motion, using a small tool to redirect it without causing damage. Virelia watched from a balcony, impressed. "His adaptability is astounding," she whispered. "No Zalarian could move so carefully, so intuitively, under pressure." Elias reached the rare plant and returned it safely to the princess. She examined it, noting that not a single leaf was damaged. "Very well, Commander," she said. "You are careful, intelligent, and patient. But intelligence alone is not enough. Humans must also prove courage and ingenuity." Elias inclined his head. "Then I am ready for the next challenge." The next test involved diplomacy, a skill Virelia knew to be crucial. Two alien factions, rivals for generations, had been brought to the palace to negotiate a trade agreement. Tensions were high and insults were exchanged freely. Virelia asked Elias to mediate, testing not only his intellect, but his emotional insight. Elias listened carefully, identifying the concerns and motivations of each faction. He suggested compromises, highlighted mutual benefits, and reminded both parties of their shared goals. Slowly, the hostility began to ease. After several hours of negotiation, A preliminary agreement was reached, a success that even veteran Zalarian diplomats had doubted possible. Virelia's respect for him grew with each moment. Not only does he think clearly, but he understands hearts as well as minds, she noted silently. Humans truly are remarkable. Finally, Virelia brought Elias to a private chamber filled with historical records and holographic images of Zalara Prime's greatest leaders. Here, she asked the most difficult question. Commander Drake, humans can reproduce at any time, you say. Yet you survive, build civilizations, and thrive. How do you manage such freedom responsibly, without chaos? Elias considered carefully. Princess, humans value life. We plan for our children, teach them, and protect them. We understand that freedom carries responsibility. It is not instinct alone that guides us. It is knowledge, empathy, and cooperation. Virelia leaned back, her mind swirling. The concept was difficult to fully grasp. Your species is extraordinary. Intelligence, courage, emotion, and choice. This is far beyond what I imagined. Perhaps humans truly are the most adaptable beings in the galaxy. Elias smiled gently. We are still learning, Princess. Every day humans strive to improve, to grow, and to care for one another. It is not perfection, but it is our way. Virelia's expression softened. Then perhaps it is not just freedom that makes humans remarkable, but wisdom. The ability to balance freedom with responsibility, intelligence with empathy. I see now that your people are extraordinary indeed. The princess stood and moved closer to Elias. You have proven much, Commander. Not only your species' adaptability, but also your personal courage, intelligence, and integrity. I have underestimated humans, and I am grateful for this lesson. Elias inclined his head respectfully. It is my honor, Princess. Humans may be different, but our goal is understanding, cooperation, and friendship with all species we encounter. Virelia smiled faintly. Then perhaps this is only the beginning. There is much more I wish to learn about your culture, your knowledge, and yes, your species' unique biology. But for now, you have earned my respect. Elias's calm confidence and clear thinking had begun to change her perspective. She realized that humans were not just biologically different, they were intelligent, adaptable, and capable of remarkable insight. Their freedom was balanced by wisdom and responsibility, and that made them truly exceptional. As the twin suns set over the palace, casting long shadows across the corridors and gardens, Virelia stood at the balcony once more. She reflected on the lessons of the day, feeling a mixture of curiosity, respect, and excitement. The human ambassador had shown her more than just biological uniqueness. He had demonstrated the power of choice, intelligence, and courage. For the first time, she saw humans not merely as visitors from a distant world, but as a species capable of changing the galaxy in ways she had never imagined. The journey of discovery was only beginning, and Princess Virelia knew that Commander Elias Drake would be at the center of it. A small smile touched her lips. "Humans," she whispered, "you are truly remarkable, and I am only beginning to understand your potential." The night deepened over Zalara Prime, and the stars above twinkled with quiet brilliance. The palace was silent now, but within its walls, curiosity and understanding had been awakened. The story of humans and their extraordinary abilities was just beginning, and Virelia was determined to learn everything she could. The morning sun rose over Zalara Prime, casting soft golden light across the palace spires. The twin suns bathed the gardens in a magical glow, and the gentle hum of alien wildlife filled the air. Princess Virelia paced her private chambers, her mind alive with curiosity. Commander Elias Drake had already impressed her with his intelligence, calm under pressure, and adaptability. But today, she wanted to see more, something extraordinary. Veralia called for Elias. When he entered the chamber, his posture was calm, his expression ready. "Princess Veralia," he greeted. "You summoned me?" "Yes, Commander," she replied, her voice tinged with excitement. "Yesterday you showed intellect and courage. Today, I wish to see your ingenuity, your quick thinking, and your ability to face unexpected challenges. Humans are extraordinary, I know, but can you prove it when the stakes are higher?" Elias nodded. "I am ready, Princess. What do you ask of me?" Veralia smiled faintly. "Follow me. You will face tests that have never been attempted by any visitor to this palace." The first challenge took them to the floating highlands, a series of cliffs and platforms suspended high above the plains by magnetic fields. The platforms were covered with alien flora, some of which reacted to movement or light. One misstep could trigger an unexpected trap or cause the visitor to fall. Elias looked out over the vast expanse. Even for a Zalarian, navigating these platforms required precision, patience, and instinct. Humans were not naturally adapted to such heights, yet he felt no fear, only focus. Veralia observed from a high balcony, her eyes sharp. "Your task is simple in words. Reach the central platform and retrieve the glowing crystal there. But you will find obstacles that will test every skill you possess: observation, agility, and problem-solving." Elias nodded. He began carefully, moving from platform to platform. One of the plants reached out with vine-like tendrils, testing him. He paused, studied its movement, and used a small tool to gently redirect it, stepping safely past. A section of the platform tilted unexpectedly. He adjusted his stance, keeping balance while calculating the best route forward. Verelia's eyes widened. "He adapts instinctively. No human I have known could manage such precision so calmly." After several tense minutes, Elias reached the central platform. The crystal pulsed with soft light, almost as if acknowledging his presence. He picked it up carefully, ensuring no other plant or structure was harmed. He turned to return, retracing his path with the same meticulous care. When he returned safely, Veralia clapped lightly. "Remarkable. You combine intelligence, caution, and intuition. Humans truly are adaptable in ways I had not imagined." The next challenge tested Elias's diplomatic and strategic abilities. Veralia summoned two alien factions known for their long-standing rivalry. They had come to the palace before, and negotiations had always ended in tension or failure. Today, Elias would act as mediator. The factions argued immediately, their voices sharp, filled with mistrust. Veralia watched as Elias took a deep breath. He listened carefully, noting their concerns, their fears, and their subtle gestures. "Your Highness," he began, "both of you seek the same thing: stability and prosperity. Conflict benefits neither side. Let us explore solutions that respect your needs." The factions paused, curious at his calm tone. Over several hours, Elias proposed compromises that addressed their grievances while highlighting mutual benefits. He emphasized cooperation, reminded them of shared history, and suggested agreements that neither side had previously considered. By the end, the factions had reached a preliminary agreement, a small but significant step toward peace. The room buzzed with astonishment. Even Verelia's advisors, who had doubted human capabilities, nodded in approval. Veralia herself smiled faintly. "He negotiates with patience and understanding. Humans do not rely on force alone, they rely on insight and empathy. This is truly extraordinary." After the diplomatic exercise, Veralia presented Elias with a puzzle challenge, one designed to test human ingenuity and logic. A chamber deep within the palace held an ancient mechanism, a combination of energy flows and geometric patterns that had baffled Zalarian scholars for centuries. Elias approached the mechanism carefully, examining its structure. He noticed subtle feedback from the crystals embedded within it. Light shifted when he touched certain surfaces, while energy pulses reacted to his movements. He tested, observed, and adjusted his actions. Hours passed. The princess and her advisors watched silently. Finally, Elias aligned the last crystal correctly, and the mechanism whirred to life. A hidden door opened, revealing a chamber filled with ancient records, untouched for generations. Virelia gasped softly. Even Zalarians have failed at this. Yet he succeeds with observation, reasoning, and patience. Humans are extraordinary indeed. Elias bowed respectfully. Princess, I am grateful for the opportunity to demonstrate my understanding. But it is not just humans who succeed. Adaptation, careful thinking, and empathy are universal strengths. We simply cultivate them differently. Virelia studied him, admiration in her eyes. Yet humans combine intelligence, courage, and adaptability in ways that astonish even the most learned among us. I see now that your species is more remarkable than I ever imagined. The final test of the day was the most daring, a trial of endurance and resourcefulness in the palace's outer regions. Virelia led Elias to a vast area of shifting terrain, sand dunes, jagged rocks, and dense alien vegetation. The area was designed to simulate natural hazards, with hidden dangers that could challenge even the strongest Zalarian. You must reach the central marker and return, Virelia explained. You will face unexpected obstacles. How you adapt, survive, and succeed will show the true measure of your species. Elias nodded, his expression calm. He began, moving steadily across the terrain. The sand shifted beneath his feet, testing his balance. Thorned vines tried to block his path, but he used tools and careful maneuvering to bypass them. A sudden rain of small rocks forced him to seek cover, yet he remained calm, calculating the safest route forward. Virelia watched from above, astonished at his endurance and composure. He does not panic. He calculates, adapts, and perseveres. Truly, humans are capable of extraordinary resilience. After nearly an hour, Elias reached the central marker and returned safely. His movements had been precise, his mind sharp, and his courage evident. He had completed all the challenges of the day, demonstrating intelligence, adaptability, empathy, and endurance. All qualities Virelia had wanted to witness. At the end of the day, Virelia invited Elias to a quiet chamber, away from the eyes of the palace and the court. She studied him closely, her expression thoughtful. Commander Drake, you have shown intelligence, courage, resourcefulness, and empathy. Humans are truly exceptional, but I must ask, what drives your species to thrive despite such freedom? How do you maintain balance without the natural limitations we rely upon? Elias considered her question carefully. Princess, humans value life, relationships, and knowledge. We learn from our experiences and from each other. Freedom carries responsibility, and we choose to use it wisely. Our strength comes not just from biology, but from our ability to think, to feel, and to act with purpose. Virelia nodded slowly. So humans combine instinct with wisdom, courage with empathy, and freedom with responsibility. This is the true measure of your species' greatness. I see now that it is not just biology that makes humans extraordinary. It is their spirit, their mind, and their heart. Elias smiled gently. That is correct. Princess, humans are far from perfect, but we strive to grow, to learn, and to care for one another. That is what makes us capable of thriving in any environment. Virelia's eyes glimmered with respect and admiration. You have proven much today, Commander. Your species is remarkable, and you yourself are an example of human potential. I am honored to learn from you. Elias inclined his head respectfully. It is my honor, Princess. Humans seek understanding and friendship. That is the purpose of my visit. To share knowledge, build trust, and create bonds between our species. The princess smiled faintly. Then perhaps our journey has only just begun. There is more to learn about your species, your culture, and your wisdom, and I intend to discover it all. As night fell over Zalara Prime, the twin suns sinking beneath the horizon, Virelia stood on the balcony overlooking the plains. The palace glowed softly in the evening light, a beacon of knowledge, curiosity, and exploration. Commander Elias Drake had proven his worth, demonstrating the remarkable abilities of humanity through intelligence, courage, adaptability, and empathy. Virelia whispered to herself, "Humans are truly extraordinary, and I have only begun to understand their potential." The stars above twinkled silently, bearing witness to the extraordinary bond forming between two species and the journey of discovery that had only just begun. The first rays of the twin suns touched the spires of Zalara Prime, bathing the palace in a warm, golden glow. Princess Virelia awoke with a sense of anticipation she had not felt before. The past cycles had tested her curiosity, her patience, and her understanding of humans, and the results were remarkable. Commander Elias Drake had proven his intelligence, adaptability, courage, and empathy in ways that challenged everything she had believed about life beyond Zalara Prime. Today, Virelia intended to learn the final truth, the deeper essence of humanity. Not just their physical abilities or intelligence, but the qualities that made humans extraordinary in every sense. She dressed carefully, her flowing robes shimmering like liquid starlight, and summoned Elias to her chambers. When he arrived, he bowed slightly. "Princess Virelia," he greeted. "You seem eager this morning." Virelia's violet eyes sparkled. "Indeed, Commander. Your demonstrations have been extraordinary, yet I feel there is more I must understand. Show me the heart of humanity. Show me what drives your people to thrive, to build, and to care. Only then will I fully grasp your species' greatness." Elias inclined his head. "I will do my best, Princess." The first step of the day's journey was a visit to the Cultural Pavilion, a vast hall within the palace dedicated to knowledge, art, and history. Holographic displays floated above the floors, showing human achievements, vast cities, incredible technology, art, music, and the simple beauty of everyday life. Virelia moved among the projections, her eyes wide. "Humans create beauty even in ordinary life," she observed. "Your species values not only survival but expression, culture, and learning. This is extraordinary." Elias nodded. "Humans thrive because we balance survival with creativity. We build, we teach, we explore, and we share experiences. Freedom alone does not make us remarkable. Our choices, our learning, and our relationships do." Virelia studied him carefully. "Relationships? You speak often of bonds between humans. Explain this fully. How does it shape your species?" Elias smiled. "Humans depend on trust, empathy, and cooperation. Families, friendships, and communities teach us to care, to understand, and to act responsibly. Even in freedom, we consider others. That is why humans can thrive without rigid biological cycles." The princess nodded slowly, absorbing his words. "So your freedom is guided not by instinct but by wisdom, by choice, and by care for one another. This is remarkable indeed." Next, Virelia decided to test Elias's understanding of moral and ethical challenges. She led him to the Chamber of Decisions, a room where holographic scenarios replicated complex dilemmas from across the galaxy. The scenarios tested empathy, reasoning, and leadership. The first simulation involved a small alien settlement facing a natural disaster. The simulation required immediate decisions to save lives without endangering others. Elias analyzed the situation, prioritized actions, and coordinated the response with care. Within the simulation, the settlement was stabilized and casualties were minimized. Virelia watched in awe. He balances intellect and empathy perfectly. Humans do not act blindly. They consider the consequences of every choice. The next simulation involved a diplomatic dispute between neighboring worlds. Elias mediated discussions, listened to grievances, and proposed solutions that satisfied both sides while minimizing conflict. Even the holographic representatives expressed approval, a testament to the simulation's realism. Finally, a simulation challenged Elias with personal sacrifice. He had to choose between achieving a goal for himself or ensuring the well-being of others. Without hesitation, he prioritized the welfare of the many, demonstrating the human capacity for empathy and moral courage. Virelia's admiration grew with every test. Humans possess not only intelligence but wisdom, courage, and a remarkable moral compass. It is no wonder your species thrives under freedom. The princess then led Elias to the Garden of Reflection, a serene area filled with luminous flora and tranquil water features. The garden had been designed to encourage contemplation and self-awareness. "Commander," Virelia said softly, "we have seen your intelligence, your courage, and your morality. Yet I sense there is still more to learn. Show me how humans bond, how you share knowledge and experience, and how you form lasting connections." Elias smiled. "Then let me show you." He gestured to a small pond in the garden. "Humans learn through interaction. We share stories, teach skills, and care for each other. Even simple acts, like helping someone cross a river or teaching a child to read, strengthen bonds and foster trust. These connections are at the heart of what makes humans strong." Virelia watched carefully as Elias demonstrated simple exercises, guiding the movements of a small mechanical device, explaining its function, and teaching palace attendants to operate it safely. The attendants learned quickly, laughing as they succeeded. The princess realized that humans not only adapt themselves, but also teach others to thrive. "You inspire cooperation," Virelia said thoughtfully. "Humans do not merely survive, they uplift those around them. This is wisdom beyond mere biology. It is the spirit of your species that is extraordinary." Elias nodded. "That is correct, Princess. Humans understand that freedom is meaningful only when paired with responsibility, care, and learning. We grow stronger not in isolation, but together." Later, Virelia brought Elias to the Hall of Records, where ancient Zalarian history was preserved. She showed him texts describing the lives of great leaders, inventors, and explorers. "Commander," she said, "humans are not only adaptable in the present, but capable of shaping their future. How do you ensure that your knowledge is preserved and passed on?" Elias explained patiently. "Humans record knowledge, teach it to future generations, and learn from mistakes. We value education and curiosity. Even when faced with challenges, we strive to improve, to innovate, and to pass lessons forward. That is why humans can thrive anywhere and adapt to any situation." Virelia's eyes sparkled with understanding. "So your species combines intelligence, empathy, courage, creativity, and wisdom. And this combination allows humans to thrive under freedom while maintaining balance and harmony." "Exactly, Princess," Elias said. "It is our choice, our bonds, and our willingness to learn that make us remarkable." The final test was personal. Virelia asked Elias to share a human story, one that reflected the heart of his species. He chose a simple tale, of a village on a distant planet where humans worked together to survive a great storm. They protected the young, healed the wounded, and rebuilt their homes. It was not a story of heroics or conquest, but of cooperation, resilience, and care. As Elias spoke, Virelia felt something she had never experienced before, a sense of awe, respect, and deep understanding. Humans were not merely adaptable or clever. They were compassionate, resilient, and driven by a desire to help others. When the story ended, the princess spoke softly. "Commander Drake, I understand now. Humans are extraordinary not merely because of biology or intelligence, but because of spirit, empathy, courage, and wisdom. Your species can thrive anywhere, adapt to any challenge, and uplift those around you. I see now why you are unique in the galaxy." Elias bowed. "Thank you, Princess. It is our hope that by sharing our knowledge, we can build bridges of understanding and friendship with every species we meet." Virelia smiled. "Then perhaps the greatest gift of humanity is not its freedom or adaptability, but its capacity to inspire, teach, and care. You have shown me much, Commander, and I am grateful." That evening, the palace held a grand ceremony to honor the human ambassador. Virelia addressed the court, her voice clear and proud. "Today, we have learned much about a species unlike any other. Humans are intelligent, courageous, adaptable, and compassionate. Their freedom is balanced by responsibility, their strength by wisdom, and their spirit by empathy." Commander Elias Drake has demonstrated not only the capabilities of his people, but the extraordinary heart of humanity itself. The court erupted in applause, and even the most skeptical advisors bowed in respect. Elias accepted the acknowledgement with humility, knowing that his efforts had built trust and admiration between species. After the ceremony, Virelia led Elias to the balcony overlooking the plains of Zalara Prime. The twin suns set, casting long shadows and painting the sky in hues of gold, violet, and pink. "Commander," she said softly, "humans are truly extraordinary. Your demonstrations have shown me not only your abilities, but the strength of your spirit. I see now that your species can thrive, adapt, and inspire. I wish to continue learning from you and from your people." Elias smiled. "Princess Virelia, humans seek understanding, cooperation, and friendship. If our species can share knowledge and build trust, then we are stronger together." The princess nodded, her eyes reflecting both respect and admiration. "Then let this be the beginning, not the end. Let humans and Zalarians learn from each other, grow together, and face the galaxy with understanding and courage. You have proven much today, Commander, and I am honored to witness it." As night fell and the stars twinkled above, a bond was formed between Zalara Prime and humanity. Commander Elias Drake had shown the full extent of human potential: intelligence, courage, adaptability, empathy, and moral strength. The princess had learned that humans were not merely different, they were extraordinary, and their uniqueness would shape the future of interstellar relations. Virelia whispered to herself, a quiet smile on her lips. "Humans are more than I imagined, and this is only the beginning." The twin suns dipped below the horizon, leaving Zalara Prime bathed in starlight. Across the galaxy, a new era of friendship, understanding, and mutual respect between humans and Zalarians had begun, a testament to the remarkable potential of humanity.